Welcome to the Gavel. I am Benny Ark. Quite an eventful week at the National Assembly, with lawmakers speedily approving the loan request of President Bola Tinubu and passing the 2.17 trillion naira supplementary appropriation bill. In the House of Representatives, lawmakers resolved to investigate the 200 billion naira so far expended on the postponed 2023 population and housing census by the National Population Commission. Here's a report of how the week under review went in the lower chamber.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives on Wednesday were worried about the 2023 National Population and Housing Census exercise, earlier rescheduled to hold in May. The census was postponed for a second time indefinitely over what the National Population Commission in June referred to as the government's transition program and post-election mood in the country. The Commission also stated that 200 billion naira of the initial 800 billion naira budget had so far been spent. This has now caught the attention of Parliament as the House of Representatives wants an investigation following a motion by Honourable Dominic Okafor.
Also aware that the financial investment in 2023 population census planning will have improved economic planning and distribution of palliatives in the country. Also worried that about the National Population Commission remarks that if the population and housing census fails to take place within 12 months, the information gathered across the country will become stale, a waste of resources, and the country will have to increase costs of gathering fresh information. Aware that the National Population Commission, led by Chairman Alhaji Nasser Issa Para, expressed readiness to conduct a population and housing census during a visit to the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on July 6, 2023. Therefore, the House resolves, 1, urge the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to declare a date for the population and housing census exercise and conduct the 2023 population and housing census to facilitate accurate economic planning.
After 17 years since the last census and with just 2 months left to the end of the year, Honourable Okafor believes that the 2023 census should still hold, but this is met with mixed reactions from other members of the House.
If, as a parliament today, we are urging the federal government to fix a date in this 2023, which we have less than 100 days to go, to embark on 2023 census, I don't think we are fair to Nigerians that are displaced from the northeast, from the southeast, from the north central, and from the northwest. So I urge honorable colleagues to understand that in Nigeria we are not ready to conduct census now because most of our geographical locations are inaccessible and reachable. Mr. Speaker, let me remind us, for farmers to go to farm 3 kilometers away from their comfort zone is not possible because they will end up being in the hands of either bandits or Boko Haram members.
Mr. Speaker, the mover of the motion in their number 2 prayer did not insist or urge the federal government to conduct this census in 2023. He only urged the federal government to fix a date subject to the information on security as available to the federal government. And in any case, all these situations that my colleague referred to were in place when they fixed the 2023 census. And money has been appropriated. Money has been spent. So this motion is only asking that that money appropriated should be accounted for and a date should be fixed. And it is only the executive that have the prerogative under the Constitution to do that. Number 3, sir, the third thing is that they are only asking the National Population Commission not to relent in the preparation. We know that this thing was postponed because of our election. Now that we are out of election, let us begin to plan for this country through proper and effective counting of the people that resides in the country.
Mr. Speaker, if we want to do a holistic census, we should allow things to simmer down a little bit, where at least we can have something that looks like a holistic census. That's my position. Unless if we want to waste money and just presume and just assume and then come and submit a report that we've done census, then we can do that. Mr. Speaker, I think we should, for now, hold on this until we are at least sure that we have relative peace across the country to conduct this. Thank you.
When they get to the North Central, we are very much aware, Mr. Speaker, that Benue has been burning, Plateau State has been under siege for quite some time, Niger has been under siege for quite some time. If you get to the Northwest, it is the same situation in Katsina, in Zamfara, in Sokoto. Are we not just deceiving ourselves when we say we want to go for a population when we have not secured the people? We have not guaranteed them. It is not about the IDPs. The IDPs can be counted. But what about those who are hidden in the forest that nobody can assess them? We need, in population, you need to carry out the good, the bad, and the ugly. As far as I'm concerned, we are not yet there until we secure the terrain and the people of Nigeria before this can be done.
The motion is amended to restrict the resolution to just an investigation.
Order, please. Order.
Meanwhile, before the end of plenary, a communication was received from President Bola Tinubu requesting approval for the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan for a $7.8 billion and €100 million loan.
It has become exigent to request the National Assembly leadership consideration and approval of the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan to enable the government to deliver its responsibility to Nigerians through expeditious disbursement and efficient project implementation.
The following day, the House Committee on Appropriations, in company of other committee chairmen, received ministers and heads of security agencies for the budget defense of the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Bill as requested by President Bola Tinubu.
Because here we are discussing.
One after the other, the invited guests took turns to defend their proposed allocations.
Mr. Chairman and honorable members, I traveled from Abuja to Benin, and I spent 14 hours on the road, not due to the inability of Minister of Works to do it, but inappropriate funding. Some projects have lasted for 17 years, some have lasted for 20 years. And you see a project that is started with 34 billion, being augmented to 154 billion. It's not healthy for the society, it's not healthy to the ears. And anybody who hears that will want to ask questions. And let me also use the opportunity to appeal on the way of appropriation. If you have a project that is going to cost like 20-30 billion and we appropriate 200 million, we are just dashing money to the contractor. It's not desirable that such project should be awarded because it can't even constitute 1%, not to talk about 30% legal mobilization to the project. So it is very important that we pay serious attention on the ongoing projects and see how we can finish it.
Talk about the completion of rehabilitation and take-off Abuja rail project. You will agree with me that this one project that Mr. President takes so important and which would help in decongesting our traffic situation. I've been there as I came on board, and Mr. President directed the day the Nigerian Bar Association held the annual conference that he wants to ride on this metro line, at least in his 1 year in office, and which is a major, if we can achieve it, and which we think with your support we are going to achieve it. The amendment I want to make there is this. Yes, it is provided 22 billion. Our problem is the dollar component of the project. You know, this project was awarded Naira and dollar component. Right now, the contractor CCECC is saying that they need their $7 million component. So I will plead if it is possible, with this 22 billion, if looking at the differentials, if we can say, okay, provide for the dollar component of $7 billion, and then whatever that is remaining can be the Nigerian, the Naira component. Because we tried to pay them in Naira, they said no, they cannot. The contract was based on dollar and Naira.
The INEC chairman also appeared before the committee as he broke down the Commission's 18 billion naira provision in the supplementary budget.
Actually, the substantial part of it is about personnel costs. You recall that in April this year, there was a 40% increase in peculiar allowance to public servants across the country. We have to make provision for the conduct of by-elections in 11 constituencies, 5 federal constituencies, 4 state constituencies, and 2 senatorial districts. And for that, we have made a provision for 1.6 billion.
The rest of the session with security chiefs held behind closed doors. The supplementary bill is expected to be passed by Thursday after receiving speedy consideration since it was received on Tuesday.
Those against should say nay.
After speedy consideration and budget defense of the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Bill received from President Bola Tinubu, both chambers of the National Assembly dedicated the final plenary of the week to its passage. The 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget passed overwhelmingly in both chambers, while the supplementary budget sent to the National Assembly by the President proposed 5 billion naira to purchase a presidential yacht under the capital expenditure of the Nigerian Navy's budget. The House Committee Chairman on Appropriation says it has been removed and reallocated.
Student loan was 5 billion naira in the budget, but now we have increased it from 5 to 10 billion so that our students can be able to access that facility in order for them to go to school and to be affordable for them. This is the action.
So no more what?
We don't have that yet anymore.
He further explained some other adjustments made to the budget.
Police formation and command will give them 50 billion, while the FCT, they have about 100 billion naira. You know, FCT is very important because we want to make sure FCT can compete with any city in the world. While Office of the National Security, we know how important that office is. Initially, the initial budget was 27 billion, but currently we have increased their budget to 50 billion naira. You know, we have a serious housing deficit in this country, and the Mr. President agenda, he wants to build as much as he can. So we have approved 100 billion naira for Ministry of Housing, and that's what he actually did.
Meanwhile, within the week, some House committees held their inaugural meetings. One of them was the Committee on Science and Technology.
Our mandate, as outlined in the standing orders of the House of Representatives, is a testament to our committee's pivotal role in shaping our nation's future. To achieve these goals, I am pleased to present our committee's comprehensive work plan to the tenure ahead. This plan is designed to guide our efforts, focusing on key areas that will enable us to fulfill our mandate effectively. Highlights of our committee's work plan will be: we will continue to have interactive sessions. We will engage with relevant stakeholders, including the Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology agencies under the ministry, and Nigerians experts in science, technology, and innovation in the diaspora. These sessions will help us identify areas of legislative intervention and enhance our oversight function.
Welcome back to the Gavel. The upper chamber within the week on the review confirmed the appointment of all 10 INEC resident electoral commission nominees of the president, despite petitions from civil society organizations alleging that some of the nominees were either card-carrying members of political parties or had been seen to be partisan in some instances. The Senate also confirmed the appointment of the Auditor General of the Federation. And the first Kogi female senator, Natasha Akpoti, was sworn following her victory at the appeal court. Take a listen.
The Senate on Tuesday admitted the nominees of President Tinubu for screening for confirmation as Auditor General of the Federation. The 7 nominees for appointment as resident electoral commissioners were also screened and confirmed by the lawmakers.
We know there are some lacunas, particularly in the Electoral Act of 2022. And we are now determined more than ever to ensure that such lacunas are covered.
We are going to work together, hold our closed-door sessions, review the laws generally, rejig the electoral system so that they will be held more accountable for their actions. We have to make sure we bring a law that will work for Nigerians.
On Wednesday, the Senate continued the screening of presidential nominees as resident electoral commissioners. In a committee of the whole, the Senate screened the nominees from Lagos, Rivers, and Zamfara states, questioning them on various aspects of election management and subsequently asking them to take a bow and leave.
The Senate approved the nominations as follows. Dr. Bumi Omesheyindem for Lagos State, Dr. Onubum Onoha from Rivers State, Mr. Abubakar Fawa Dambo from Zamfara State, as resident electoral commissioners Rex. For the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC, those in favor of the confirmation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
7 nominees were earlier screened by the Senate, bringing the total number of confirmations to 10. However, the nominations were greeted by controversy, with some members of the civil society organizations criticizing at least 2 of the nominees.
These are individuals who are really out there in public, who have professed their political preference and alignment. And we've been screaming and shouting and advocating and telling our politicians that there is grave danger when INEC is populated by politicians.
The People's Democratic Party particularly condemned the appointment of Mr. Etekamba Umoren from Akwa Ibom State and Isa Ehemiakne from Edo State, describing it as provocative.
The PDP, therefore, in clear and unequivocal terms, reject the imposition of Etekamba Umoren as INEC rep in Akwa Ibom State, being conceived in iniquity and in a flagrant violation of the express provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, and the universal demand of impartiality and non-partisanship of an electoral body and its officials.
However, the Senate says there is a leeway for a review if any petition is presented.
No Nigerian is wrong for calling for either a recall or upholding of whoever that is screened, because everybody has right either to complain, either to pass comment, either to ask questions, but it has to be properly done.
So you did not receive any petition?
No. If prior to the appearance of these nominees before the Senate, there have been petitions, there have been security reports suggesting that they could be compromised, or suggesting that they are not fit because they are going to handle electoral matters. Definitely they should not have political parties that they belong to. Then definitely the Senate will look into it. But the afterthought criticisms, the afterthought reasons why we should not do this and why we should not do that.
He firmly assures that when a petition is officially presented, the lawmakers would accord paramount consideration to the nominees. Meanwhile, the Senate has administered the oath of office on Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan as the first female senator from Kogi State representing Kogi Central Senatorial District in the 10th Senate. The administration of oath of office by the clerk of the Senate comes after she was declared winner of the February 26th Kogi Central Senatorial election by the appeal court. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan, who is from the People's Democratic Party, challenged the declaration of Senator Abubakar Ohere of the All Progressives Congress by INEC as the winner of the election.
I, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan,
do solemnly swear
that
I will be faithful
and
bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as a member of the Senate, I will perform my functions honestly.
honestly.
Meanwhile, Like the House, the Senate approved President Bola Tinubu's request to borrow $7.8 billion and 100 million euros in the federal government's 2022-2024 borrowing plan and passed the 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget.
On Constituency Focus this week, we speak to Honorable Afam Ogene, representing Ogbaru Federal Constituency of Anambra State. He speaks about the needs of his constituents and his plans for them.
As somebody representing Ogbaru Federal Constituency, which is actually a riverine community, Ogbaru is made up of 15 indigenous communities, and we lie on the banks of the Great River Niger. My people are predominantly farmers of yam, cassava, vegetables, and other food crops. But the major challenge that they have is poor access roads. In fact, the only major road that connects all of these 15 communities and linking up to the border with Rivers State is the Onitsha or Somala, Onitsha Atani or Somala Oguibele Road. And that road was done halfway during the time of former Governor Peter Obi. Ever since, it's been a little push and shove here and there. But incidentally, oil exploration has been going on in two communities of Oguibele and Oguaniocha, which makes Anambra an oil-producing state. So the state right now is earning revenue from the 13% derivation. But the roads are simply not there for the people to move out. In fact, the oil company had to create pipelines and collect to the side of the delta. So they actually take this oil across the river to the delta area. So I'm calling on government to also, at the subnational level, the state level, and the federal level, to synergize and ensure that this road is done. This is one major need of my constituent. The next would be the fact that as a coastal federal constituency, this seasonal flooding, affects my community so much so that bungalows, you only see the rooftops. It's as bad as that. And so I'll also be pushing for holding centers. Each year they ask people to go upland. Upland to where? There is no provision made for people to move out of the villages and come upland. But I'm sure that if we have 3 or 4 holding centers that could take especially men, women and children during such period, because it has almost come to stay that each year we lose about 3-4 months to flooding. So you can imagine floods that cover rooftops. So nobody would actually be staying there, and it's a hard time getting to undertake that kind of movement. So if the government provides us with holding centers, large halls, take it up, and then people from the catchment areas could easily move there while the period lasts. So basically, those are 2 major issues that confront us. The oil exploration, which also devastates our environment. And so I'm calling on the government that whatever they are doing with regards to community participation in oil production, they should factor in the various communities of Ogbaru, because they are also all negatively impacted. My plans is to always be their voice, and that I've started, because if you don't say you are here, nobody would remember to say you are at that particular point. So given my own background as a journalist, I've offered to be the voice of the people, which I've been doing even in my first incarnation as a legislator in 2011.
That's it on the Gavel this week. For feedback, please send us an email to thegavel@channelstv.com. I am Benny Ark.